Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fire Up. I hope we're all fired up tonight. Woohoo!
As always.
All right. It's Thursday night. It's the night before Friday, and it's the night before Halloween. It's spooktacular tonight.
Scary.
Well, we're gonna start out with the title. So I don't know how many of you know, but MLB, actually, this is the first time in MLB's history that they started the season not in the United States, and they're going to end their season not in the United States. So for all of you that don't know, the last two games of the World Series will be played up in Toronto at the Rogers Center. So game 6 is tomorrow night. Toronto is up 3 games. 3-2. So they have a chance to close it out tomorrow, or they'll take it to game 7 if the Dodgers can find a win tomorrow night. How are we all feeling about that series, guys?
Blue Jays are winning. That's where I'm at. Ohtani couldn't shut him down. The guy last night couldn't shut him down. The guy tomorrow night might. He's actually their best pitcher. But I think the Blue Jays are going to end up winning it.
I think everything is in Toronto's favor. I think, they have, this never say die attitude. And I think, between Shane Bieber, Trey Savage, and like the whole bullpen, they've been keeping things under control. I mean, give or take a few homers by Ohtani and Max Muncy, but that's neither here nor there. But I do think all the momentum is in Toronto's favor, and I'm excited to see if they can close it out.
Samir, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I know before the series, I picked the Dodgers to win in 6. I mean, it might be the Blue Jays that win in 6. And it's funny because this year's Blue Jays team reminds me in a few ways a lot of the 2021 Braves, where they were not necessarily the favorites coming in. They played really well in the second half. A team from New York ended up collapsing, just like it did in 2021, which is how the Braves won their division. So Toronto wins their division that way. They end up beating two formidable teams in the DS and in the CS, and ironically, the same way the Braves were heavy underdogs against the Dodgers in 2021, they ended up winning in 6 games. The Blue Jays have a chance to do the same thing, and they're doing it. Everybody in a way is contributing. Like when they need an out, their pitchers are getting it. When they need a hit, they're getting it. So it's not like they are just beating everybody like soundly, but they're coming through in moments when they need to come through. And after game 3, the 18-inning game on Wednesday, to lose that game in the way you did, a game you probably should have won, for them to come back the next day and in a few hours and win in convincing fashion in back-to-back games, I think says a lot about how resilient they are as a team. And the notable part about it is their star Vlad Guerrero, the one that signed that mega deal, $500 million deal in the beginning of the season. It's kind of a full circle moment for him because his dad, even though he didn't play for the Blue Jays, he played for the Montreal Expos, who obviously now don't exist. They're the Washington Nationals. So he grew up in Canada for all intents and purposes, and now he has a chance to win a World Series in Canada with the team he just signed a huge contract with.
So I gotta ask, because J.I. is asking this question. Will the Dodgers season be considered a failure if they lose, especially with that payroll?
Yeah.
No. Now, if they had lost in the NLDS, then that'd be a different story. But they made it to the World Series and they lost in 6 or 7 games. It's not a failure.
But the goal was to win the World Series. Is what that owner said when he made all these deals this year. We are buying the way to win the World Series. Is the word. So yes, it's a failure to the owner.
I mean, I feel like go ahead, Tyrese.
Oh no, I think the Dodgers potentially not winning this will definitely be a crack in their armor. It'll definitely show like the bullpen wasn't mentally tough. I mean, even in the last game to get homered back to back. Blake Snell, he didn't bring his stuff, and this is a guy who recently won a Cy Young. So uh, this can be very very troubling. If they're building this dynasty and they run into this roadblock of the Toronto Blue Jays.
I mean, had they not won the World Series last year, then that's a different story. But they're coming off of a World Series win, and they're going to lose. And again, they're going to lose in 6 or 7 games to what's on paper a pretty good team.
Mm. And another thing I think will definitely be like a big scar if they do lose this next game is you have a historic person like Clayton Kershaw, a guy that is that is living and breathing in a Dodger uniform for his whole career, and to not send him off riding into the sun with another ring, it'll just be like wow, like I can't believe we couldn't give this guy the parting gift that we wanted. So I would, if I was a Dodger fan or if I was a part of the Dodger executive group, I would be more upset at that we can't send this guy off in the way that he deserves.
It was interesting earlier today. I was watching. They have all kinds of little reels, and they're putting things out where Clayton was on the field after the game because it was his last time at Dodger Stadium, and and they were taking He was taking pictures with some of the grounds crew on the mound and with others, and he kind of was reflecting. And he just looked nostalgic, like this is the last time I'm going to be really on as a player on this field, And I just thought that was really moving, I guess I would say. But Jay, I would hope it'll be politically free. I don't like when we mix politics with sports, and I'm glad that they really haven't been, because now in hockey, when they were playing, they were booing the national anthem. I'm glad to see that I haven't seen that in the games, or vice versa, us booing the Canadian anthem. I'm hoping that we keep that out of it. So
That only happens when it's the Wings versus the Maple Leafs anymore.
yeah. Okay, guys. Well, it's going to either end tomorrow or it's going to end. I think. Do they play Friday? If they have to play another? Is it Saturday?
I think it's Sunday. I think they get a day off in between the games because it's the last 2.
Okay. It's tomorrow, and then let's see. Actually,
or are they going back to back?
It would go back to back. It would be.
Wow.
31st and then the 1st, because they'd be playing both of them in Toronto, so they would just be back to back. So
well, that's right. It's the old way where they used to go 1-1-1.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
I kind of like that setup, the 1-1-1.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. You get the day off in between. Everybody gets that extra day of rest. Plus, you'll get to see everybody at their peak in what's supposed to be the biggest game of the season.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is tomorrow night anybody's available. Like, I don't care if you played in the last game or not, or how much you've pitched. It's going to be every man that's available.
Mm-hmm.
Samir J.I. says, you don't sound like you're from Atlanta. You sound more like New York.
Oh no, I'm not from New York. Well, I mean, the closest you're gonna get is my family is from South Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia.
There it is.
There it is.
It's that Southie.
Okay, guys, let's move on from baseball. Why don't we talk? We got to talk about. Is it safe to be a college football coach these days?
It depends on your program. I mean, it depends on what lens you want to look at. I mean, yeah, nobody wants to get fired, but you look at these buyouts. I mean, I got fired, but I mean, you're paying me what, 55 million to go home? I mean,
not just go home, stay home.
Yeah. So which of the openings now do you think is the most attractive? Because there's a bunch of them. There's LSU, there's Florida, there's Virginia Tech, there's what else?
I would say it's still Penn State. Well, actually, I don't know. I mean, LSU, I would say it's really between Penn State and LSU. The reason why I'm having a hard time really determining which one is more attractive is because when they let Franklin go, Penn State had a bunch of decommits. Like, they had a lot of their 4 and 5 stars decommit. LSU, you had a coach who wasn't as liked as James Franklin. When he was let go, it was kind of more of I guess almost like a cloud has been lifted, if that makes sense. Like, you had a coach who was not liked. A lot of notable alumni like Ryan Clark, Andrew Whitworth came back now because apparently he wasn't letting alumni back in the facility. So maybe now that he's gone, maybe LSU could have the edge, but it's really between those two because of really the brand. I don't think Florida is all that attractive because of really the expectations. Where if you don't, I guess the expectations are a lot higher in Florida than they are. Well, they're high there as well, but I guess Florida is just a little different.
The one thing I will say about the Florida job, though, you live in the state of Florida, there's no state income tax. So that's an attractive piece, albeit I understand the Florida job may not be attractive as a whole. I do know that, well, I've read that they offered Marcus Freeman the job, 8 years, $100 million, and he turned it down. Said he doesn't want to leave Notre Dame. So, with that being said, since we're talking college football, what college game are we most looking forward to this weekend?
Anybody who plays Ohio State to see if they win.
Penn State plays Ohio State this weekend.
Go Penn State.
Forget it.
Go Penn State. Go Nittany Lions. Let's get
them. Vanderbilt and Texas is one. That game is at Texas.
And Arch is maybe playing or not?
I don't know. And then there's Oklahoma and Tennessee. The game, I think, is in Knoxville. Yeah, it's in Knoxville. And then, of course, Georgia Tech at MC State. Georgia Tech has not played well on the road this year compared to when they play at home. Colorado, they had 3 turnovers in the first quarter. They ultimately end up winning that game. They had the scare at Wake Forest where they were down 20-3. They end up coming back, and Wake Forest ends up missing a 2-point conversion at the end to lose. And then they got off to a slow start at Duke before pulling away in the fourth quarter. And NC State is a quarterback who can spin it. He can spin it and he can move. He's very mobile, very athletic. So he could potentially present problems for Tech's defense. With that being said, it still should be a game that they win, but it should be an interesting one considering how they play on the road versus how they play at home.
Pretty good.
Okay. Tyrese, any college football game you're most looking forward to?
I'm not the biggest football fan, but I do enjoy college football as a whole. So I'm just looking forward to some good games.
Okay. Jeremy, which one?
Well, you already heard me say Penn State and Ohio State.
Yep.
But the Army Black Knights versus the Air Force Falcons, because I am a former Army guy. I love that. Also, you got the Miami Hurricanes playing against SMU.
At SMU. And Miami's played a lot of games at home. This is what, their second road game, I think?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
See if there's one more here that I like. I'm just scrolling through, seeing for something that hops
I would
out
think
other than Michigan.
Oklahoma, Tennessee is going to probably be a good game. That's 18 versus 14. Cincinnati versus Utah, it's 17 versus 24. That could be very interesting. Purdue plays Michigan at home. At Michigan, I should say. I mean, Georgia Florida is always like a rivalry kind of a game, but I don't know that it'll be a good game. But
Minnesota has been surprising in the Big Ten, and they have Michigan State coming down. I expect Minnesota to win by double digits. I don't know what's wrong with Penn State, but it's awful. Or Michigan State. I mean, they can't do anything right.
Okay. Let's see. We wanted to talk a little bit, Jeremy.
Yes. We got the big news yesterday. Detroit Lions defensive end, second round pick overall in the 2022 draft. Aiden Hutchinson gets his extension. 4 years, $180 million with $141 guaranteed. That breaks down to an average per year of $45 million. And not when everybody says that it's watch out. But I looked it up on Sport Track already, and it's nowhere near as bad as everybody thinks. Next year is his 5th-year option. It added money in, but it's bonus money that doesn't count against the cap. His cap hit is only $10 million next year. That does not hurt the Lions. The next year it goes up to 26. That doesn't hurt the Lions too much either. The next year it goes up to 38. Now you're pushing it. That's that year 2, year 3 where we talk about where teams start to talk about, well, maybe we want to restructure this guy. The year 3 one, the big one, is $58 million in 1 year. That's 2029. That's the year where I don't care what you got to do, you're going to get that number below 40. But you know what's crazy that they said the projected salary cap is on Sport Track for 2029? $1.3 billion per team.
Wow.
Billion with a B. You know what's crazy about it? The Lions have 14 active players signed through 2029 on the roster. So they will have a whole bunch of cash to be able to get by a team.
Wow. That is crazy. But let's give Aiden props. I mean, he made the Pro Bowl in 2023 with 7.5 sacks in 5 games last year before breaking his leg in 2 places. He has 6 sacks in 7 games this year and leads the league in pressures generated at 48, quarterback hurries at 33, and strip sacks 3, while also tying for the most forced fumbles at 4 this season. So you always like when a team rewards the players that are playing well. and tells them, hey, we want you and we want you for the future. We don't want you eyeing anybody else or any place else.
I had people in my chat this morning, and they backed me up because I put the comment in another one of the Huddle Sports Networks that I go live into. I was going into live. Kenny kind of precedes me, and I said, I literally said with one of my guests, Brian Arndt, who goes by BA, I said, you watch. Right after the bye week, Hutchinson's deal will be done. He goes, yeah, that's a great idea. I agree with you. And I said, I bet you it'll be 43 to 45 million. It'll be less than Parsons, but more than Watt.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you talk about calling your shot 9 weeks ahead of time.
Yep, you know your team. Yeah, he's been big for you guys. He's really helped you guys out. With that being said, who wants to talk about what NFL game this weekend are we looking forward to?
First, I'm looking forward to the Vikings coming to Detroit. Hoping we can get our 5th in a row or 6th in a row from them. It seems how we've been quite handedly taking care of him since Dan Campbell's been there. J.I. Lion game.
Surprise, J.I. Surprise.
There are a few that come to mind. The first one for me is the Broncos and the Texans. The Broncos, they're coming off of two big wins at home. They come back against the Giants. They blow out the Cowboys. Now they've got the Texans, who have played a lot better since their 0-3 start. They're coming to town. I think the Broncos are going to take that one, but it'll be interesting to see how the Texans play. No, the game is in Houston. My apologies. So it'll be interesting to see how the Texans play. That's one game. The second one for me is the Kansas City and Buffalo. I know the Chiefs offensively got off to a slow start. They've got Worthy back. Rashee Rice is having a pretty good year since he's returned. Travis Kelce's turning back the clock after a couple of down years. Mahomes is looking like his MVP self, and the Chiefs right now are the team to beat in the AFC. Maybe the Colts, but right now I got to go with the Chiefs because it's really between the Chiefs and the Colts, but I would give a slight edge to the Chiefs. But you've got the Bills coming to town. They had back-to-back losses after a 4-0 start. The bad one at home against New England, the one even worse in Atlanta. Josh Allen had, I think, 4 combined turnovers to just 1 touchdown pass in 2 of those games. They had their get-right game at Carolina last week. James Cook rushed for over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, AFC Offensive Player of the Week. The game is in Buffalo. I think it's a primetime game. The atmosphere should be ridiculous. But interestingly enough, the Chiefs have won the last 4 postseason matchups. They have played every year in the regular season since 2020, and the Bills have won 4 of those 5 regular season matchups. So it should be an interesting game.
And it's in Buffalo. And I got another one that I think is interesting too. Indiana Jones and the Indianapolis Colts go on to face Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. I think that's going to be a good game, especially if TJ Watt actually did what they say he did in the papers and tried to inspire his team, saying, "What the hell are you doing on the field?"
That's true. I mean, Indy's been playing really hot. The Steelers, obviously, they played Green Bay good for the first half, but I think part of it also was Green Bay was kicking themselves with their own penalties, like they have all year. Honestly, they kicked themselves in the foot with all the false starts and some of the pass penalties that. A
few years ago, I remember a certain team in Detroit struggling with penalties a lot. That was the youngest team in the NFL. have a young team, you have those type of penalties.
Yep.
It just happens because young guys get the yips. So that's how false starts happen. It's mental lapses. It's stuff that can be coached out of them.
Yeah. Let's hope it's sooner rather than later for them.
I'm hoping it's next year.
No, I'm hoping it's this year. That's okay. I respect you for your opinion, and
Yep.
yeah, I got mine. That's the beauty of this. But I mean, Carolina's coming into Green Bay. Obviously that's probably one of mine. Carolina is not a slouch team. They play the tough teams tough, and they, and then they go ahead and lay some eggs here and there too. So it's, but we've said any given team on any given Sunday, you just never know. I mean, you got to show up and play the game. Tyrese, any game? I know you don't follow the NFL very much. Is there a team that you like though in the NFL?
Okay. I'm a Giants fan, but I would say because of Lamar Jackson, I've been rooting for the Ravens lately.
Okay, and they're playing tonight right now, and I believe they are up.
Yep, 21-6 right now in the at halftime.
Even though I don't watch football as a whole, I do have like high interest in quarterbacks. So like the storyline I've been like following lately is Joe Flacco with the Bengals, and to see him in his like 40s and still have that drive to play, just like it's crazy how many teams have given him opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're a Super Bowl winning quarterback from a Super Bowl winning team, you tend to get more options after you leave that team. Just ask Joe Montana. Just ask Brett Favre. Just ask Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, like with Aaron, after he left Green Bay, there was a drop off, But Joe, even though he's been on, struggling teams, and hit the whole fiasco with the quarterback, ranking with the Browns, it's like he still has, something left in the tank, and people still want to be led by him when he has the opportunity.
Tyrese, I would beg to argue with you that the same could be said for Aaron. The problem with Aaron is when he left, he went to the Jets. The Jets, that's where quarterbacks go to die. I hate to say that. And he got injured. But look at then he came to the Steelers, and I'm not going to say he rejuvenated his career, but kind of. He's not back to the form that he was at Green Bay. But look at the other, 2 weeks ago, he threw a 70-yard pass. I mean, that the young quarterbacks aren't doing that.
True.
I love my joke that I made, and I waited a couple weeks to say it about Aaron Rodgers that year one with his injury in the first game. I said, there was 5 snaps in that game he took, not 4. 4 he took the football, and the 5th one was his Achilles. He likes that one. I like making fun of it after the fact. I don't like it right after. You got to have a timing. You can't be brutal right off the rip and say something mean. It's like if somebody passes away you don't like, you don't immediately trash them at their funeral. You at least let them be a couple days in the ground.
Yeah.
Maybe a week.
But I would say, Tyrese, that I bet you there's a lot of teams that would not like that would welcome having an Aaron Rodgers on their team right now at quarterback.
Orland.
Yes. How do you guys feel about, like, let's say quarterbacks that are a bit younger but haven't had that like star resume? Like, let's say Marcus Mariota or Geno Smith, who hasn't put it together consistently.
Because they never will. they'll have flashes. They'll have a season or two where they're good, but they always come back to who they are. The statistics say what they are for their career.
Like
Dino,
I don't understand. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like I don't understand like when Pete Carroll signed on to be the head coach of the Raiders, why they thought Geno Smith was gonna be the savior. That didn't even make sense to me, and I don't even care about football.
I think it's familiarity. That's my only guess. Pete Carroll coached him in Seattle, and
that too. I forgot.
And in the quarterback class last year was not deep enough to where they could go and get a quarterback in the first round.
Mm.
Wasn't there 6 of them?
No, that was.
No, that was the year before. That was 24. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like to have Brady a part of that ownership group, and for him to allow that to happen, I thought that was pretty alarming as well.
Well, he's only a 5% shareholder, which means he doesn't have much pull on what they do.
Oh, I see.
All he can do is advise. Mark Davis is still Al Davis's son, and he's almost as old as Al Davis was when he started to lose his mind and go senile. So maybe there's something to that.
Mm.
Okay. Any other games that we're looking forward to this weekend, or?
Well, take a gander at my schedule.
Okay.
Seattle at Washington, going east like that. Seattle has actually been uncharacteristically good on the East Coast versus a lot of the other teams over there, like LA Rams and San Francisco, even Arizona. They struggle with that 3 time zone switch back the other way. 10 of their last 12 meetings they won on the East Coast. And that's not any particular team. That's saying all of them combined 12 times over the past 2 years.
What do we think about the Monday night game? Cardinals versus Cowboys.
The 1-star rating system will probably win because the Keebler elf won't be able to get his head out of his new Call of Duty.
Yeah. I mean, even with how bad the Cowboys defense has been, this should be a game they win. They probably should flex this game out of Monday Night Football, but it's the Cowboys, so they probably won't.
America's team.
I think they would have already had to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah, I think, what is it? Week 14 is when it starts, where you got like the 6 flex games in the afternoon to the prime time.
I think so, yeah. So, Samir, you didn't talk about your Falcons. They're playing against New England this weekend.
Yeah. I think just when you think this team has hit rock bottom, they'll sit back and say, "Hey, watch this." Well, you thought you thought 30-0 in Carolina was rock bottom. Watch this. At home against a Miami team that is all but quit. They are now losing 28-6 at home to the Ravens. They've all but quit. And they come here and they beat us 34-10. Game wasn't even close. Kirk Cousins looked like 37-year-old Kirk Cousins. We had guys missing like Drake London, Zach Harrison, Jalen Walker, Billy Bowman, but that's not an excuse. Look at the Niners. Look at the Ravens. They've had injuries, and the Niners are playing really well. The Ravens, they're starting to kind of trend upwards. Injuries are not an excuse. And this is the 5th time in the Raheem Morris era, which is we're in year 2 now, that we have lost a game by 20 or more points. That is not an outlier. That is a trend. they failed to get off the bus. This time at home, the home crowd was booing, which tells you how bad it is because it's pretty hard to get booed by the home crowd in Atlanta. We're not Philadelphia, we're not New York. So if you're getting booed in Atlanta, it's really bad. Um, they ran all over us. We couldn't run the ball. But why does the best running back in football only have 5 carries in the first half? Um, Zach Robinson wants to live in that pistol offense. It doesn't work. The league has figured it out. We missed Divine Diablo and Jalen Walker defensively, and JD Bertrand did not look good in Divine Diablo's place. I kind of feel bad for him, but he did not look good. And
did the Falcons cut Troy Anderson Jr.?
No, he's hurt.
Oh, is he hurt?
Okay. He's had issues with injuries kind of the past few years since he's been in the league, which is unfortunate for him because it's kind of seemed like last year he was starting to put it together. Then he got hurt again after what was probably the best game of his career against the Saints. But it's a mess. All of the goodwill from that big win on Monday night against Buffalo is gone. And this kind of felt like the unofficial end of the Raheem Morris era in Atlanta. I feel like it's a matter of not if, but when that other shoe kind of drops. And I think Terry Fontenot's going to be gone too. You got at New England, they look like the hottest team in the NFL outside, the second hottest team in the NFL behind Indianapolis. Oh, and then guess who you have after that? You have to go to Germany to play Indianapolis. And Jonathan Taylor has more touchdowns than our entire offense combined. So you're looking at 3-6 coming back to Atlanta against Carolina, a team that already shut you out 30-0, and you still got to play Seattle. You've got to go to Tampa, and then you got the Rams at home again, and even our games against the Saints. Even with how bad the Saints have been, number one, we just saw it's not a given that we're going to sweep the Saints. And number two, regardless of how bad the two teams are, if you know anything about the Falcons-Saints rivalry, it's always going to be a hard-fought game. So this has the potential, and there's a very good chance that this falls off the rails, and we're looking at another house cleaning in Atlanta, which is unfortunate for our young quarterback because it's like we're now doing the Bears cycle where we've got a young quarterback. His first year's a starter, they don't play well. The team cleans house. And now you got a head coach and a general manager who didn't have a say in drafting him. So that's where things are headed right now. And it's not looking like things are going to get better anytime soon.
Okay. Any other topics besides my town that you guys want to talk about tonight yet? Oh, wait. And weren't there some trades, Jeremy, you wanted to talk about?
Oh, we were doing my town, or you just want – wait.
We're going to go to NFL trades.
Oh, okay.
The Patriots traded away 2 players to 2 different teams. They traded away defensive end Keon White to the San Francisco 49ers. They sent San Francisco a 7th rounder and got a 6th rounder back. And then they traded safety Kyle Duggar to the Steelers, where they traded a 6th rounder for a 5th rounder back in next year's draft. So it's funny that they're accumulating 6th and 5th round picks. Because guess where a certain 3 players all came from? The 5th and 6th round. Tom Brady, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. Is that what they're going for? Their next 2 wide receivers in the late rounds? Because they don't get them in the first round, ever. I think the first one they did was that kid out of Arizona that didn't pan out. And that's just because he's injured. But the other one was the Jets traded away running back Michael Carter II to the Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman is still making moves and trying to improve his team. Did it improve? Remains to be seen because Michael Carter, much like a lot of these defensive players that we have talked about, can't stay on the field.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens between those guys.
Oh, and Jets did get John Mechie the third, the kid that beat the type of leukemia to come back and play. I believe it was. That was an undrafted free agent to the Texans because of that, who battled back, and now he's in remission. Good for him. Hopefully that'll help them because they do need somebody since Garrett Wilson is on the mend right now and not playing. So they need somebody to step up. I'm not saying John Mechie is going to be Garrett Wilson. Do not put those words in my mouth because he's not.
Well, and McCarthy's going to be back against you guys because Carson Wentz now went out and is having surgery.
Oh, and the Bears signed somebody too. Somebody Detroit and Philly and Baltimore all got rid of.
Gardner Johnson.
Chauncey Gardner Johnson.
Yeah.
DJ.
Yeah.
Or as we used to call him CJ double douche because he was just turned into a butthead in Detroit.
Yeah. I remember when he was in New Orleans, he was he was a pest, definitely. He was a pest. I remember that. But interesting nugget, unrelated. Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson are coaching against each other tonight at Lincoln Financial Field.
Oh wow. That is cool. Is that in college or a high school game?
College.
Nice.
Delaware State is Deshaun Jackson's team, and I think Norfolk State is Mike Vick's team.
So one of the other kind of breaking news that happened within the last hour, LSU has parted ways with athletic director Scott Woodard as well as their coach Brian Kelly. So both of them are out. And you kind of saw the writing on the wall after Brian Kelly was let go, kind of the dynamics that Scott Woodard came out and then the Louisiana governor came in and they were talking and criticized the administrators. So it's kind of interesting. See both of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I would have pause on the LSU job being attractive, because if it's a state-run school. The state runs the school, so ultimately I get it. The school reports to the governor and people who run the state, but I mean, if you're a prospective head coach or an AD, would you want the governor being hands-on with your teams and the hiring process? I don't know if I'd want to deal with that.
Well, and it's interesting because they owe Kelly 53 million or so, and they owe the AD 6.4 million. So that's not anything to slouch about, 60 million a year between the two. So the other writing on the wall, we didn't talk about this. One of the candidates is definitely not going to be on the college carousel is Matt Rule. Got a 2-year extension, which keeps him under contract through 2032. So he will not be going to Penn State. So I have a question for you guys. Where do you think that Lane Kiffin will leave Ole Miss and take one of these jobs?
Out of Ole Miss, I don't think he'll go to Alabama because that's an SEC school. I really don't know. I just possibly going north. You know who could actually use him is Penn State. They have a young quarterback coming up, and they could use somebody to develop him. I think that would be a good spot for him.
What do you think, Samir?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Do we think Lane Kiffin will leave Ole Miss and go to one of these head coaching vacancies? And if we do, which one?
I don't know. It seems like he's happy at Ole Miss. He's had quite a bit of success there. I think if he were to leave, it would be for either LSU or Florida, given his familiarity with the SEC. But I don't know if he leaves unless one of those schools gives him a significant amount of money to do so.
But he's actually come out and said his decision on coaching future won't be based on money. He goes, I've never made a decision based off money, nor will I. I've seen too many examples in life where money does not buy happiness.
I mean, well, he says that now until somebody gives him an offer like what Florida gave Marcus Freeman.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Tyrese, any thoughts about if Lane Kiffin will leave Ole Miss and where he might go?
I mean, I think, this new day and age in sports, people are motivated and moved by money, and with the NIL stuff. So if the pot is sweet enough, and anybody can say one thing and then do another thing. So
I agree. Any other topics you guys want to bring up, or should we go to my town?
I'm ready whenever you guys are. But I'd like to hear what's your where are you at, Tyrese, and what is your town?
I'm born and raised in the Brownsville, East New York section of New York City. It's a part of Brooklyn. So I've been in Brooklyn all my life.
Awesome. So what's going on in your town? It could be sports, whatever you want to talk about.
It can be sports or non-sports. It doesn't matter.
Right now in New York City, high school basketball is at an all-time high. A lot of these young men and women are in tryouts and preseason games. They're doing a lot of local preseason tournaments and state-to-state tournaments, getting ready for the public school athletic league conference. One of my favorite teams locally to follow is called Thomas Jefferson. They made it all the way to the finals of the public school athletic league. So I want to see how they rejuvenate the roster. Their coach Lawrence Pollard is a NYC basketball legend, and Thomas Jefferson is known to have great point guards and shooting guards. So they had a couple leave last season with the graduating class. So I'll be looking to see how they retool the roster. Also, there's a very well-known school that I follow called Abraham Lincoln. It's where players like Stephon Marbury went and Lance Stevenson. So they're always on that high school basketball Mount Rushmore when you think of NYC basketball. So they're always an exciting school. And then in terms of the Catholic League, I'm looking forward to going to a lot of Christ the King basketball games. They've had players like Lamar Odom and a couple of other NYC legends play at their school. And I'm also looking at Archbishop Stepanak. They're the reigning 3-time Catholic school champions, so they're looking to make it 4 this year. So high school basketball is definitely my thing.
Okay, sounds like it. Well, I mean, we're getting into the basketball season, so we'll definitely know to pull your basketball knowledge out of there. Mr. Samir, what's happening in your town?
So not much on the Atlanta Braves front, except they're still looking for a new manager. One possibility is a Dodgers bench coach, Danny Lehman. He has some ties to Alex Anthopoulos from when Anthopoulos was in a part of LA's front office. He was on the staff. The Atlanta Hawks, they got a win in Brooklyn. It was bittersweet win. Trae Young went down with the knee injury, which has been diagnosed as a sprain. They're doing MRIs now. We should have an outcome on the severity any day now. Quinn Snyder did say that it was not an ACL injury. Number one. Number two, reports were that he did leave the arena. He was limping, but he did not have a crutch or a boot on, any crutches or a boot when he left the arena. So maybe that could be some promising news regarding the severity of it. We just have to wait and see. Hopefully he's not out long term. Atlanta Falcons, they hit rock bottom once again. Just when you think they've hit rock bottom, let's say, as I said earlier, let's say, oh wait, watch this. They hit rock bottom. They've got a pretty lengthy injury list. They did not have any DNPs today, but the following players are limited or were limited at practice today. So Darnell Mooney and Storm Norton, our tackle, were full go. But here's limited: Leonard Floyd, Zach Harrison, Jalen Walker, Billy Bowman, Michael Penix Jr., Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, and Tyler Algier. So that is not an ideal list. The Hawks became the Squawks. I thought Quinn Snyder was going to get them over the hump, but hasn't. Trae Young is legit, but needs more help. Look, I mean, I was excited when they bought in Snyder as well, given his record in Utah, what he was able to do there. We just haven't had the talent the last couple of years. Now the talent's in the building. Let's see what we can do with it. But yeah, so they're going to take to the Falcons. Will travel to Foxborough to take on the hottest team in the NFL, an MVP candidate in Drake May. They've got some solid receivers outside. They've got Diggs. They've got Butte. They have not allowed over 50 rushing yards yet to a running back this game. They've got a very good coach, Mike Vrabel. He's one of the candidates for Coach of the Year, in my opinion. So, I mean, regardless of whether Michael Penix plays or not, if you're a Falcons fan, do not raise your expectations for this game. And then travel to Indianapolis after that. So, things are going to get worse way before they get better. And, of course, in the college level, Georgia Tech, they're going to travel to Durham to take on NC State. They're 4-4, but they have a very dynamic quarterback. He can beat you with his arm. He can beat you with his legs. And Tech has struggled on the road this year. So everyone has been saying they're benching Penix, and here they're trading Cousins. Color me confused. So neither is happening. They're not going to trade Kirk, and Penix is the starter, barring an injury, as we just saw. So that has kind of been the standard. And that's it for my town.
Jeremy, what's happening in your town?
The Wings won again last night. The Pistons won again 2 nights ago. I had a comeback win over Orlando, I believe it was. And then today I find out that the Tigers actually made some coaching moves. They fired their pitching and hitting coach.
Okay.
So that's some good news for us because we saw the highest amount of strikeouts from any of the playoff teams was in Detroit. They were abysmal with their plate discipline. Last but not least, the deal with Aiden Hutchinson, Terry Arnold's back. DJ Reed has not yet been put into his activation window. Aleem McNeil is back. And we saw the difference that Aleem had in the middle of the line versus the Bucks, who had a good offensive line. I feel sorry for J.J. McCarthy. May he rest in peace.
I'm not so sure that Scott couldn't give Jeremy a run for his money with Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
I think the two of them would, because
Scott. This is a 2-day bottle. 2 liters are 2-day bottles. They're not a 1-dayer.
Oh, see, Scott would take JB by storm.
Can you give me my 1 1/4 liters? I trust those.
He'll drink. Well, he'd crush a 2 liter. There are times he starts the second one in a day. So, Anything else happening in your town?
It is Halloween. Please dress your kids with reflective clothing. Let them have fun. Let them be kids. That 16-year-old you think is too old to be trick or treating, let him. Because we force kids to grow up way too fast these days. That's why there's kids that are 4 going on 30 telling their parents what they want to do. Yes. Yes and yes.
So as far as my town, let's see. Well, the Badgers are not going to lose this weekend because they're not playing. They have a bye. So
they lost already then.
So Fickle won't be fired then. Anna DeCampo and the Bucks are doing well. They actually beat the Golden State Warriors tonight without Anna DeCampo, as he has left knee soreness. So we'll keep an eye on that because obviously we don't want that. And neither of his brothers played either. So like there's all 3 of them on the team. So like I said, the Packers play at home against Carolina this weekend. The Brewers, they're going to have a lot of figuring out to do because they have some contracts that they're not going to do the Bucks re-sign him. At this point, Milwaukee is his city, and he's come out and said that. I'm not. I think it'll be interesting to see how far they get this year. What happens? Anna DeCampo has come out and said that he wants to end his career in Greece. So I don't know how many more years that means he's going to be playing over here. I would like to think that he's going to stay with the Bucks, but it also depends. If they don't look like they can win a title, then yeah, maybe he would jump ship. Packers seem like they are due for a loss. I don't think so. I don't know if that's just because I hate them or because of how they are playing. They're a young team, and it seems lately that they have found one receiver that steps up every game, and it's a different receiver. This last weekend, it was our tight end. But I would hope that they would not lose, but we'll see. That's why we play the game, right? They play Carolina again. As for down here, Miami's already playing right now. University of Miami Hurricanes go to SMU, and like I said, they have played most of their games at home this year. This is, I believe, only the second road game that they've had. So it'll be interesting to see which team shows up. If they're disciplined or not. It is a big game at SMU. You are correct. Miami is 6-1 and SMU is 5-3. So it will be an interesting game. It'll be on ESPN. It is on at noon on Saturday. So that's the other thing. Miami is not used to playing. They've been playing at night. They've been playing night games or later in the afternoon games. So that could factor into it. Do you think college football teams should be required to have half of their FBS games on the road? Guys, what do you think?
Half and half. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, some teams you see 7-5, and on a rare occurrence you see maybe an 8-4. But I think half and half is fair. I think it's reasonable. Yeah,
it should be. It should be half and half. They play 12 regular season games. It should be 6 on the road, 6 at home.
I think you'll see more of that being even when they play more games in the conference. I think a lot of the big schools, because they have payouts to these little schools that they play to draw and stuff like that, that I think that'll change. That might change.
Right. I heard that a lot of those contracts are not getting renewed with those smaller schools, which are the cupcake rivalries, they call them, where their fans show up, but they know they're not winning. I mean, face it. I mean, who thought Appalachian State was going to beat Michigan that day with Cordell Stewart, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Or was that Colorado? That was Colorado. I mean,
yeah. But
that's another one. Colorado hadn't beat anybody. Who'd have thought in week 2 they beat Michigan? Rich Rod.
But the other thing is these little schools use those big payouts to fund a lot of their, sports programs. So that will be sad to see some of those go by the wayside. Not because you want to see the cupcake games, but because you do want to see the program succeed, in some of these smaller schools that can't. JB with the hate for Rich Rodriguez. Okay, guys, anything else you can think of? Otherwise, we're going to go around the room and you can tell people how they can get a hold of you. Tyrese, why don't you start?
I wanted to ask you, Candy, and I wanted to ask you, Samir. Samir, with the Hawks, do you really think Porzingis makes a difference in the lineup? And Candy, for you and the Bucks, does the addition of Turner really make Giannis's job easier?
When Porzingis is healthy, he absolutely does make a difference, especially with his size and athleticism. He's produced for us on both ends. So yeah.
And I think most definitely that Turner is going to help Giannis. And anytime you have, because let's face it, they had Lopez. Lopez is no longer with the Bucks, and I think they needed another big man. And it's kind of coming out that when Turner left, that things weren't very pretty with the Pacers. So I think he's extra motivated as well, and that always helps when you have a player that's extra motivated. And I think he sees that the Bucks are trying to get another championship.
I think also the way that Turner is able to space the floor will definitely help Milwaukee. I think he's also very fundamentally sound. He's one of the better passing big men in the league. So I think it's gonna do a lot of good. I'm not confident in the way the Bucks having Doc Rivers as a coach. I think they need a different voice in the locker room, but that's just me. With the Hawks, I really feel bad for Trae Young, Samir. I think Trae Young needed more support earlier on in his career, and he really needed a coach that could really build a good game plan around his game. He's very much an isolation player. He likes to ISO a lot, and I think that hinders them when they're in the playoffs because it becomes Trae Young versus whoever they're playing, and it's not much of a team-oriented game.
Yeah, Tyrese, I think you're right about that. With the exception of 2021, they did not really do a good job of supplying him with the talent necessary early on in his career. We had guys in the building like John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter, and others who we had drafted early on in the first round, who we thought or Clint Capella too, we traded for, who we thought who were going to be centerpieces to a team that would contend in the East for a long time. And a lot of the guys that we paid from that run to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021 just never took that next step that we were paying them to take, or they ended up regressing. And then when you have that year like we did in 22, where we end up in the play-in and we get embarrassed by the Heat, like
Yeah.
like I remember, like they shut down Trae Young that series. Like
Mhm.
they made life difficult for him. So we go out and make that trade. We overpay for DeJounte Murray, and DeJounte Murray wasn't bad in Atlanta. It was just never a fit from day one. Like those two just didn't fit.
Of course.
And, yeah,
They're,
and then one thing I did like is when we made the trade for Dyson Daniels, it feels kind of like, even though he's off to a slow start this year offensively, Dyson last year kind of filled that role that
Mhm.
DeJounte Murray was supposed to have, but just not as good of an offensive player. And it feels like with the offseason we just had, with the guys we bought in, with Walker, Kennard, and of course Porzingis, and then we've got Jalen Johnson. I think he's going to make that all-star leap. Hopefully Ricochet makes that year 2 leap. It feels like we finally have a good mix of solid veteran players and a young nucleus around Trae. So hopefully, if we stay healthy, there's no reason for us to be in the play-in this year, especially given the state of the East. We'll see how it goes.
I just think teams need to learn how to draft smarter, because if we look at, where the Detroit Pistons were a couple seasons ago to where they progressed to last year, and where the ceiling is this year, with the additions of like Jalen Duran and a Sore Thompson, they're figuring it out, but they've done it strategically through the draft, and they've leveraged a lot of picks, and they've really carved out a nice, fruitful roster. It's sad that Atlanta hasn't. The teams like Atlanta, Brooklyn, and all those, like struggling teams haven't really put it together.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this year with what we have, hopefully it does, but a lot to be determined. So, yeah.
Okay, with that being said, Tyrese, how can people find you?
Um, on LinkedIn, it's just like my name, Tyrese Aline Davis. Um, I'm also on the Blue Sky social app. My handle is Tyrese Aline00 at Blue Sky Social. On Instagram, it's _ the Think Tank. Um, and then yeah, that's about it.
Samir, how can people find you?
You can find me on X at ATL_Samir2401. I write articles for Sideline Sports and South Florida Tribune. You can find me every Thursday night here on Fire Up. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next week.
Jeremy, how can people find you?
Well, you can find me right here on Inside the Pigskin and Fire Up. Inside when Scott needs me. Right here on the South Florida Tribune channel. You can also find my writings on the SouthFloridaTribune.com under the contributor writings. You can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Fighting with Motor City Lions, where I go live Monday through Friday at noon, Wednesdays at 9, talking the NFL and the roundtable talk, where we do the pick'ems for all the games on the schedule. And then Fridays, where I do the Lions Fan Cave chat, where I bring other Lions fans and podcasters in, and we do an in-depth review of the upcoming game that week. Then we have fantasy football talk on Saturday nights at 10 p.m.
Wow, you a busy man. Okay. My husband wrote a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. Scott wrote it. The South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published it. It's available on Amazon. You are, yes. I'm in it too.
Yeah, I bet you are.
It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content because both Jeremy and Samir have written for us, so go check out their articles. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, you can call Scott at 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you haven't subscribed to us yet. Please click it, like us, share us, and then definitely turn on your notifications so you're notified whenever we go live. Let's see. Yes, JB has been writing articles that are on fire. And JI says, I've read the book. I suggest you all read it. I think he meant to say. It's amazing. I have an autograph copy. I've shared it. It's amazing. Tommy Lasorda and young Muhammad Ali. Pictures of them are in there. No Howard Cosell. And no pictures of Aaron Rodgers in the tunnel. JI, at some point, you'll see it. But yes. Read it, not write. You got it. Other than that, let's see. I think I hit all the basis points. Jeremy, you always end us. How do you end us?
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. Thank you, J.I. Thank you, D, over there on X, and the few others that have popped in. We appreciate your comments and your viewership.
Jay, I have to say, I love it when you're in our chat room. I miss you when you're not. So great job for being in there. Love it. Keep it up. Great job, Tyrese. I know this is your first time on Fire Up, so we appreciate you. And of course, Samir and Jeremy, you guys always do a great job. That's why you guys keep coming back. That's why you're back.
Thank you.
We do love all the comments. We love all the people that are viewing. And again, if anybody wants to, have any ideas, just email us. Thank you. I enjoy listening when I can get away from watching the baby.
I can't get away. When I can't get away.
That's true. Yes. Okay. Everybody enjoy. You know what? Enjoy Halloween tomorrow.
Thank you.
Enjoy your weekend. Prayers to anybody that was in the path of Hurricane Melissa. That was a horrible hurricane. So prayers to anybody that is dealing with any weather-related issues.
Amen.
Yes. And then have a good week.
And before we go, rest in peace, Nick Mangold. And also the muscle hamster, Doug Martin.
Oh, Doug Martin, yeah.
You're dressing up as a lion. Yeah, because he wants to know what it's like to be a fan of a winner this year.
Yeah. Oh, I like to be a fan of a winner in general. I would like for my team to not embarrass me every Sunday, but yeah, let's start there.
Okay, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, guys, for chatting with me, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Good night. So much.
I'll see you guys next week.
Okay, let's get...